The University of Johannesburg, the future reimagined.
I wish to welcome all our viewers to this interesting panel discussion titled The Future of Youth. I hope everyone will relax and enjoy and interact with our speakers this evening. Of course, mine is also not only to welcome you as our viewers, but also to introduce you our facilitator of the evening. Of course, is Mr. Masonwabe Fuma. He is a Johannesburg-based marketing Marvin global business speaker, multi-award winning entrepreneur, of course, an investor, activist, and a leader. He is the marketing director of Sakulucha Africa, a social enterprise of youth development advisory, local enterprise, and research. Mr. Masonwabe is hosting leadership skill talks to reprogram teenage boys' mindsets and mold them into excelling invest sensual young men. In 2019, Stepping Stone Junior School is an alma mater introduced the Masonwabe Fuma Excellence Award, awarded to grade 7 people that has achieved excellence throughout their junior school life. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my honor and pleasure to introduce Mr. Fuma as a facilitator of the event. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ledwaba. Good evening to you all, and thank you for joining us this evening as we talk the future of young people in South Africa. Indeed, my name is Masonwabe Fuma, and I'll be facilitating this conversation this evening. Of course, I'm not alone. I'm joined by my esteemed speakers and panelists, Prof. Ade, who's an artificial intelligence and applications full professor at the Johannesburg Business School. I'm joined by Ms. Jessica Monoto, who's a clinical psychologist, Mr. Thabo Rasenyalo from the Gauteng Enterprise Propeller, who's also a chairperson of Credit and Investment Committee, and a member of REMCO Subcommittee, and a member of Business Development Committee. I'm also joined by Ms. Tsegofatso Molabo, who's the UJ-CSRC Academic and Quality Officer, and also the Deputy Chairperson of the UJ Postgraduate Forum. And lastly, I'm joined by Ms. Asanda Muwatsa, who's the Executive Chairperson of the National Youth Development Agency. Before I introduce my first speaker, Prof. Abe, I want to first say any questions that you may have, please send them through on our live chat, and then we'll tackle those questions later on in the conversation. In introducing my first speaker, Prof. Abe holds a PhD in Computer Science, Artificial Intelligence from the University of the Witwatersrand. He's currently a Professor of Artificial Intelligence and Applications at the Johannesburg Business School. He is rated by the National Research Foundation, which is the NIF, of South Africa, and he has published more than 80 articles in recognized outlets on algorithms, artificial intelligence tools, and innovations for solving real-world problems in the fourth industrial revolution. Prof. Abe has won 65 major teaching, research, and innovation awards and secured more than 12 million in funding for research, innovation, and social development. He is a director of the Postgraduate Diploma Program at the Johannesburg Business School, and also the chairperson of the JBS Center for Entrepreneurship's Advisory Board. He is a member of the UJ's Academy of Distinguished Teachers. He serves on the UJ's Teaching Portfolio Assessment Committee, and he is also a member of the Senate's Teaching and Learning Committee. Prof. Abe is the founder and chairman of the Grit Lab Africa, which is a social project for training young Africans across 11 countries in grit and programming, and a distinguished professor of artificial intelligence at the School of Business in Watson University in India. Prof. Abe holds several academic, consulting, and advisory positions around the world. He is a two-time winner of the UJ Vice Chancellor's Distinguished Awards for the Innovation of 2019 and Teacher Excellence in 2020. In 2023, he received the Africa Impact Award at the Deep Learning Ilama in Nigeria. He was also named twice as a finalist of the Africa Tech Leader of the Year Award and his social project, which is Great Lab Africa, as the African Educational Technology Award at the Africa Tech Awards in Cape Town. Prof. Abe's career is decorated with over 100 awards and recognitions. Ladies and gentlemen, over to Prof. Abe.
Thank you very much, Chair. Thank you very much for that introduction. Good evening to all of you where you are connecting with us and listening to us. It's Youth Month, and I thought we could have this great conversation, an easy one actually, because we know what the challenges are. Everybody does know. It's always about getting the young person out of the bed in the morning and getting into what needs to be done. So a part of my talk is technology, like you would have suspected. I'm a professor in that space. The other part is just discipline and other things that I like to bring back to the front, to the main stage of this conversation. If you're listening to me, I would like to classify myself as a youth as well. I hope I'm still in that bracket. But the interesting thing is that I assume you're somewhere between very young to 35, thereabouts. So I'm going to pitch in that space so that I don't outshoot things. The first thing I'd like to talk about, like I said, after 7 minutes, the first part will be about life in general. In my opinion, a lot of young people, not just in this country, across Africa, they've been lied to about what life is about, the basics, which is like life is hard. Right? And that's not good news. I'm not here to sugarcoat things. But life is really hard, even for the people that you think they're better than you when they go to bed at night and they think of all the 200 permutations of things that will happen to them the next day. It is hard. So, and that begs the question, how do we tell our young people about this? Because the protection of the parent or of the government sometimes is that shield that shields a young person from the reality of life itself. Back then, young people used to have that reality. You used to go there and hawk on the streets and get punched in the face, and you understood that things were difficult. But now your parents working at Standard Bank, you get the protection of, you went to the most expensive school. Now you show up and you think when you graduate, magically everybody's just going to love you. And when that doesn't happen, you fall apart. So there's a big chunk of discipline and expectation, in my own opinion. I've been training for 15 years. And in my training experience, I've trained a wide range of young people. Some of them come with zero expectation. A bunch of them come with a lot of expectation based on a political narrative as well. So I always like to liken it to a video game. In a video game, it has to be difficult. If it's not difficult, then there's no game. So the moment you're born and you're spawned, you should think in your head as a youth. Now you're a youth, but when you're younger and growing up into this age, you should think, what am I here to do? And if it's easy, why would I even be here in the first place? So we should cancel out easy. Easy shouldn't be on the table at all. And difficult should be something that is attractive. So the second thing I would like to mention is about excuses. So the beautiful thing about excuses is that you always find one anywhere around you. You wake up in the morning, there's load shedding, you get into the taxi, the driver is rude. Everywhere you look, there's always load shedding. There's always what's it called, excuses. So for any young person listening to me out here, I want you to know that the ability to forsake the excuses and then move on and get something done is actually the nature of gladiators, which our ancestors were. That's how they moved. They would just forsake everything that was in front of them and they would get things done. The third thing is, I know social media plays a lot of role in terms of depicting a picture of someone who is a conqueror. So on social media, the work itself is hidden. when you see the glamour. So someone shows up with a car and the house and everything. You want all of those things. If you're listening to me at the back of the scene, it's very rough there and it's dirty. Most of those guys you see actually have smiles that are on top, but then at the bottom of it, it's a lot of tears and sweat. So these things are not real. And if a young person thinks these things are real, it's skewed. It's a skewed perception of what life is about. Taking my time now. Depression. Such a sensitive topic. It is real. A lot of people are going through it. If a young person plays away their time, an examination is next week, and they run straight to psychiatrist, and they say they are depressed, I would beg to disagree. Because for the whole semester, 16 weeks, he's been partying. So, and that is something that's up for debate. I won't waste time on that, but I just want to say to you that if you're overwhelmed, it's part of the game as well. Okay, except when it's chronic, you speak to your psychologist and they help you out. But if that's not the case, if the size of the challenge is overwhelming you, it's part of the game. And that's why nobody will hand this over to you. Greatness will not be handed over to you. So you're not going to wake up tomorrow and everybody crowns you king or queen. It's not going to happen. You have to do certain set of things, and if you go through history books, you see all of who you idolize, Nelson Mandela, Thabo Mbeki, all of them had to do a lot of things to get to where they are, or they got to. And if you're still studying right now education, I like to touch on education. Education is not just as is, it is actually war, but it's disguised because you have to fight. You have to fight the module itself, it's a difficult content presented in front of you. Sometimes the lecturer is not the best presenter, you have to fight that. Examinations are tricky, you have to fight that. Please, that's part of it. I'm going to move very fast now. So one win is all it takes to get the confidence back, to be back on top. So you don't have to win 100 times to know you are the best. No, you only have to win once. And that first time you are back on top, you feel the confidence, look at the mirror, the person you see is a lion or lioness. You believe yourself, and then nobody can actually put you down and talk you down. At that time, it's too late to do that. For young people out there, I do understand you. You probably wake up, spend 1 hour on the bed in the morning, open Instagram or WhatsApp, first on your phone, scroll through, and then you buy into many drinks being sold at you. You think you're going to be a cake maker, then you think you're going to be an entrepreneur, you think you need to do another postgraduate diploma, your mind is just all over the place. But I would like to say to you that the world doesn't understand you, and the world actually does not care. The world doesn't care because you have to fit into the agenda of the world. That's where the resources are. On your side, you are Gen Z, for example. So you need to make sense of all the data thrown at you and the information on the social media. But when you're done graduating, you'll be alone. Then there's no NS pass money, nobody is coming. Everything is all shut down. You now have to think how that fits into the world. Now here's what the world cares about: direction and grit, hard work, dedication, that's it. The world doesn't have, they don't want to listen, and all other things that are being put on the table in front of you is just politics. Actually, if you're the best, nobody will remember what race you are from. So these are topics that I think every young person out there should know about. And finally, I will leave you with this thought. I think my time is exhausted now. I'll leave you with this final thought. I, like my introduction said, I do some training across Africa, and I have a virtual classroom where I put African kids together between the age of 18 and 21. And they're the brightest kids you see. They're across 11 African countries: South Africa, Zimbabwe, Kenya, Tanzania, Nigeria, Ghana, the list goes on. And one thing I've learned in that process is that we can solve our problems ourselves, actually. We can. And we have the resources. It's 2023, we have laptops. We have internet connectivity. So this whole PT stuff, let's get it off the table and let's have some serious conversation about discipline, about ability to get up and get something done. Time, vessel, discipline, capacity, you have to be capacity, and youth. Youth is magical. When you're 65, it's too late. I thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Prof. Abe. We will, of course, engage later on about the various opportunities that the fourth industrial revolution has to offer, and how is it that we bring those young people who are marginalized into the forefront so that they also are able to enjoy some of those technologies. Of course, you can send us questions on our live chat box, which we'll also tackle later on. I'll now be introducing our second speaker, Ms. Jessica Moloto, who's a clinical psychologist. Ms. Moloto completed her undergrad and postgraduate degrees at the University of Pretoria. Upon completing a master's degree, she registered with the Health Professions Council of South Africa and the Board of Healthcare Funding as a clinical psychologist. Her clinical interests have included working with addiction, personality functioning, and mood disorders such as depression. Ms. Moloto practices as a holistic approach to treatment by using a broad range of psychotherapeutic techniques that are individualized to each client's needs. Ms. Moloto works in both the public and private sectors. She has clinical experience in acute and chronic mental health related issues and psychometric assessments. Currently, she works as an independent practitioner at the Wellness Center in Centurion and offers in-person therapeutic services and teletherapy through virtual platforms such as Microsoft Teams. Over to you, Ms. Moloto.
Thank you, that word welcome. I think the World Health Organization put it beautifully by saying mental health is a lot more than the absence of illness. It is an intrinsic part of our individual and collective health and well-being. It is said by World Psychiatry that half of all mental health conditions start during the adolescent stage, but most cases are undetected and untreated. The most common mental health issues faced by the South African youth include anxiety, depression, substance abuse, as well as eating disorders. Furthermore, these are all associated with an increased suicide risk. Now, mental health is an integral part of health and well-being. Emotions, thoughts, and behavior have a significant impact on us and others around us. So when our minds are not functioning optimally, even the simplest everyday tasks can feel daunting and overwhelming. Transitioning from being a student to an employee comes with its own pressure, particularly in the early stages of one's career. Whilst the workplace can contribute positively to your mental health, it may also exacerbate an existing problem or even contribute to the development of a mental health problem. Mental health is a growing concern in the workplace, with adjustment issues, stress, anxiety, and burnout becoming increasingly common. Companies are now recognizing the growing demand for inclusivity and a positive work environment. Some companies offer perks like healthy snacks and fitness classes, as well as mental health resources like therapeutic sessions and stress management tools to support their staff's mental health. As an employee, I can imagine if you have access to resources that promote self-care and you feel supported, you're more likely to engage better and feel motivated in the workplace. Self-care and mindfulness can be especially helpful in maintaining a healthy work-life balance. When we talk about self-care, it is essential for your overall health and quality of life. Self-care means taking the time to do things that help you live well and improve both your physical and mental health. When it comes to your mental health, self-care can help you manage stress, lower your risk of illness, increase your energy. Even small acts of self-care in your everyday life have a big impact. Small acts such as getting regular exercise, eating healthy and regular meals and staying hydrated, making sleep a priority, so making sure you stick to a sleeping schedule and you get enough sleep. Make use of meditation and relaxation techniques or apps, and stay connected by keeping in touch with your loved ones if you can reach out when you feel you need practical help. This also forms part of your support system. Self-care may look different for everyone, so it's important for you to understand and find out what it is that works for you and what you enjoy. And in addition, Seeking therapy is also a form of self-care. Therapy can give you insight into what causes or triggers your symptoms or emotions and maladaptive behaviors, and what effective coping techniques you can use to help manage your mental health. Now, when we talk about mindfulness, it's a useful technique often used in therapy to help us tune into what we are sensing and experiencing in the present moment. It is the ability to pay more careful attention to our thoughts, feelings, and bodily sensations without judging them as good or bad. It helps reduce stress and increases our experience of positive emotions. This can be achieved by practicing 7 mindfulness principles that are non-judging, patient, having a beginner's mind, trust, non-striving, acceptance, and letting go. Whether you're studying, unemployed, or employed, mental health affects us all, and access to mental health support and services is largely affected by the availability of mental health facilities. One cannot access what is not available, particularly in rural areas. For many individuals, having therapy with a qualified psychologist is scarce. Things like one's socioeconomic status, race, insurance status, and urban or rural location are strongly associated with access to mental health care. Your primary healthcare facility, being your local clinics, are often the places where you can access resources regarding what mental health care services are available in and around your community. Now, in urban areas, the youth has more increased access through several platforms, such as online brochures, virtual seminars, telephonic counseling, and in-person therapeutic services. Various organizations, such as SEDEC, Lifeline, COSAP, SANCA, FAMSA, INALA, Mental Health Foundation, and the South African Federation for Mental Health, provide educational, therapeutic, and psychosocial support services to the youth and the community at large in order to address and prevent adverse mental health. It is crucial for the future that the youth have access to quality mental health care and effective treatment to develop the resilience needed to cope with life and become well-adjusted, healthy adults. Now, mental health awareness and initiatives are often highlighted on a specific day and month in the year that is dedicated to educate and to reduce the stigma and discrimination that people with mental illness are often subjected to. If we hope for a happy life in the future, we ought to work by advocating and increasing people's understanding of mental illness so that we can have an open conversation about mental health issues without shame or fear of stigmatization. We spend most of our lives inside our heads, thinking, planning, and reflecting. I think we ought to make it a nice place to be for our future jobs. Thank you. Back to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ms. Moloto, for that address. I now have the pleasure of welcoming my third speaker, Mr. Thabo Vasenyalo, who's from the Gauteng Enterprise Propeller, which is the GEP. He is also a chairperson of Credit and Investment Committee, member of the REMCO Subcommittee, a member of the Business Development Committee. He is an accomplished business executive and an engineering project specialist, offering 15 years of combined experience as a project engineer, of which the past 7 years as CEO of an industrial turnkey solutions company servicing the mining, power generation, solar energy, FMCG, and water sectors in South Africa. He offers shareholders maximum return on investment as a leader who immerses himself into a business and focuses on growth and sustainability. He is highly experienced in managing operations across all business functionalities and is able to streamline organizations to create efficient and profitable businesses. He works exceptionally well within corporate cultures with diverse teams and professionals with specialist skills and is able to influence strategic C-suite stakeholders to ensure continued operational success. He is a highly qualified professional and holds a degree in electrical engineering, 2 technical qualifications, electrical and mechanical engineering, and is currently completing an MBA through Regenesis Business School. He is attracted to developmental mandates of an organization and its ability to adapt and align itself to the economic and growth imperatives of the business and contribute towards the development and empowerment of entrepreneurs and startup businesses from a wealth of proven experience. Mr. Thabo Rasenyalo will be talking to us about entrepreneurship and innovation from a government perspective. Over to you, Mr. Rasenyalo.
Thank you, Mr. Fuma. The future of Africa is bright. Innovation and not aid is the answer. That's Mr. McLean Sibanda. Mr. McLean Sibanda is an avid entrepreneur. Until 2008, he was the CEO of the Innovation Hub, which is an innovation agency of the GP province. In 2021, Mr. Sibanda released a book called Nuts and Balls, Strengthening Africa's Innovation and Entrepreneurship Ecosystem. In that book, Mr. Sibanda mentioned 6 factors, 6 pillars that I would like to touch on tonight. These 6 pillars merge entrepreneurship and innovation. They are resources, networking, belonging, legitimacy, mentorship and exposure, and market access support. The first resource that speaks to government ensures that it develops and creates incubators that provide the entrepreneurship with resources such as office equipment, internet access, affiliations, and accreditation support. And some, if not most, will then say as well capital. The second pillar refers to networking, creating facilities that enable entrepreneurs to bond, meet, and share their stories. The ability to foster strategic partnerships to access funding and information requires a great deal of network forums. At the end of the day, people do business with people. Incubators and accelerator programs should provide such platforms, enabled by government. The third pillar speaks to belonging. Entrepreneurship can be very lonely, and the ability to innovate can be a daunting and lonesome experience. The ability to belong and be surrounded by those who share similar experiences and ideas goes a long way in unlocking the potential of entrepreneurs and innovators. The government should ensure that it provides such platforms in townships, rural areas, and towns. The fourth pillar speaks to legitimacy. One of the challenges that innovators and entrepreneurs face on a daily basis is the prospect of being believable or proving to be legit. Through the establishment of incubators and accelerator programs, government is able to provide assurance to entrepreneurs and indicate to future prospects that the idea and the person behind the idea are worth being supported and be given the benefit of doubt. On to the fifth pillar, mentorship and exposure. In order for one to turn an idea into reality, and in order for young people to rightfully stake their claim in leadership roles that encompass both entrepreneurship and innovation, there needs to be a sense of stability around one's emotional, physical, spiritual, social, economic, and mental state of being. These attributes can only be strengthened and aroused through exposure to those that have walked the destination before you. And this is where mentorship comes in. Incubators and accelerator programs and platforms can provide this much needed assistance through state intervention. The last pillar that encompasses both entrepreneurship and innovation is market access. The government perspective and market access support should not be ambiguous. After everything has been said and done, the entrepreneur needs to sell their innovation and record sales, and thereby contribute to the economic growth of the country. If we're in a developmental state like South Africa, It is imperative that government deliberately plays an active role in ensuring that it shortens the sales cycle for innovators and entrepreneurs. This is done by having ready-to-buy clientele across all state institutions and the private sector. This can be achieved through state-led incubators and accelerator programs, as mentioned earlier. As a non-executive director at GEP, part of the mandate that we are faced with is to promote entrepreneurship, mobilize resources, and facilitate an integrated approach to entrepreneurial development in Gauteng. Provide financial and business support development for the growth and sustainability of SMMEs. Facilitate investment in high-impact businesses, enterprises that transform the structure and competitiveness of industrial sectors in the province. Financial support speaks to the startup finance, contract finance, growth finance, and franchise finance from GP in the province. Non-financial support is also a main part of innovation and entrepreneurship, facilitating of CIPC registration, supporting development of business plans, business development support interventions, assisting in project preparation, conducting due diligence, provision of post-investment and aftercare services to supported SMMEs. Through business development and support, one is able to get access to marketing tools, financial management systems, quality management systems, training, mentorship, and business advice. Some of the grants that GEP offers are either grants or loans. Depending on the type of assistance that an entrepreneur would be looking for, the grants can go up to 50,000, go into the millions, as mentioned, as dependent on what the application would be sought. In all of this, colleagues, it is still the importance lies within government and it being deliberate in its attempt to unlock economic growth through the support of entrepreneurship and innovation. Through you, Mr. MC, I'd like to pause there. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Thabo. In now introducing my last speaker of the day, Ms. Tsegofatso Molabo, who is the UJ CSRC Academic and Quality Officer, and also the Deputy Chairperson of the UJ Postgraduate Forum. Ms. Tsegofatso is a promising young scientist and community leader. She holds an MSc in chemistry, which she obtained from the University of Johannesburg. Her master's dissertation focused on renewable energy under the advisory of CESOL and the Royal Society of Chemistry through the FLAIR grant. Ms. Molabo has presented her research findings at conferences, including the Catalyst Society of South Africa and the Royal Society of Chemistry international conferences. In addition to her research experience, Ms. Molabo has been actively engaged in academic and quality-related roles. She served as Academic and Quality Officer for the Student Representative Council at the University of Johannesburg, where she participated in decision-making structures, advised on student support services, and contributed to developing academic programs and policies. She is a Black Woman in Science Fellowship member, a prestigious program sponsored by the Department of Science and Innovation. This fellowship provides support and recognition to outstanding Black women scientists, fostering their professional development and promoting diversity and inclusivity in the field of science. Beyond her academic pursuits, she is passionate about making a difference in her community. As a mentor for young scientists through the ESCOM Science Expo, she helps students develop project ideas and presents them at science expos nationwide and internationally. With her academic excellence and leadership skills, she is a dynamic force poised to impact the scientific community and beyond significantly. Over to you, Ms. Molabo.
Thank you so much, MC. And I'd also like to give my warm welcome to the guests that we have that are joining us online. As a student representative council here at the University of Johannesburg, this topic for me is of great importance. The involvement of youth in politics and in civic duty. It is a subject that holds tremendous potential for our generation to shape the future of our society and bring about positive change. Youth involvement in politics and in civic engagement is not merely a desire, but a necessity. Our active citizenship is crucial in driving the social and political transformation. As young individuals, we possess the power to contribute and make a real difference. So today, I want to share some insight and inspire all of you to empower the youth to engage actively in politics and in civic engagement. Firstly, let's recognize the importance of active citizenship. We can bring about the change we wish to see in our society through our collaborative participation. We can voice our opinions and drive meaningful change by actively engaging in political and civic processes. Our involvement matters and our voice needs to be heard. One powerful way to make a difference is by engaging in local politics. I know the decisions made by the local government really directly impact us. We can influence policy outcomes and shape the community we are trying to participate in by going to local campaigns and attending community meetings. Let us become the active participants in the democratic processes that shape our neighborhoods and cities. At the Youth Forum of the United Nations Economic and Social Council, one of the youth leaders in Sustainable Development Goals emphasized the need for meaningful engagement. More than mere invitations, filling up the seats, or posing for pictures without follow-through is required. We as the youth aspire to more. We desire proactive involvement in the local government leaders. From our mayors and premiers, we want them to seek our advice, and we want to be actively participating in the implementation process. We don't just want to be consulted, but we yearn to witness the realization of these projects. Young people possess the capability to make extraordinary things happen. All we're asking for is for the opportunity to demonstrate our magic. Technology and social media have become a powerful tool which we are using. Platforms such as Twitter, Facebook, Instagram allow us to amplify our voices, raise awareness, and create online communities dedicated to social and political causes. The Fees Must Fall movement, which was a movement that us as university students across South Africa have shown as an example of how youth-led movements can be used to advocate for change. With a simple hashtag that was used across social media platforms, the movement swiftly gained momentum and mobilized thousands of youth. The impact of movements is profound. So let us use these platforms responsibly and effectively, because the question still remains: is our education system still equitable for our students and our future children? Let's also start investing in student organizations, because they too play a pivotal role in fostering political awareness and participation. These organizations create spaces for open dialogue, debates, and panel discussions. We can collaborate with like-minded individuals and drive impactful initiatives by joining or establishing student organizations focused on political engagement and civil engagement. However, it is disheartening that these crucial student activities such as the SRC election campaign or even student society registration coincides with the university's registration period in February, and the former takes place during the course of the second semester exams or test. Consequently, students may inevitably develop a mindset that their voices are only as good as the marks they produce, leading to a disregard of anything outside of academics. This situation hampers the full potential of student organization in fostering political awareness. The other question that now comes is, how do we gain a voice when we don't have the equity to get the ball rolling? Collaboration with external stakeholders is essential. With the former speaker speaking on how the GPF also plays a pivotal role, we can also start adding things like NGOs, political parties, community leaders, to provide the valuable guidance and resources as well as networking opportunities. So by partnering with these organizations, perhaps we as the youth can start gaining a voice. So in conclusion, I'd like to urge us to take small steps towards political engagement by attending our community meetings, joining student organizations, and following influential figures on social media. My take home is that, undeniably, youth represents a significant portion of the global population, accounting for approximately 2 billion individuals, roughly a quarter of the total population. And despite this sizable demographic, the positions of power in government, boardrooms, and our current economy often fail to represent the youth spectrum adequately. Many decision-making bodies continue to be dominated by individuals from older age groups, which can perpetuate a disconnect between young people's needs, aspirations, and perspective, and the policies and strategies implemented. This disparity limits the potential of youth to actively contribute to shaping the future and hampers the inclusivity and diversity required for effective governance and economic growth. So as the youth, let's put our voice out there. Let's speak when we're invited into the room that we need to be entered into. Let's not just be the quiet voice, because they always say, closed mouth gets nothing. Thank you, and back to you, MC.
Thank you very much, Ms. Mulapo. Ladies and gentlemen, I know I said in the beginning that our last speaker would be Ms. Asanda Luwaca. Unfortunately, she can't join us this evening due to another commitment. I see some questions have come in online, and there's one question for Prof. Abe. Smith says, great preparation and insightful presentation, Prof. How can the youth unite in Africa to share and maximize opportunities like other continents? That's for you, Prof. Abe.
Thank you very much. I think the first thing we have to get rid of is the politics that tells Africans that they are different in the first place.
Sure.
Europeans don't think that way. They move from Belgium to France to anywhere else. So I think at the end of the day, if you have platforms where they can reach, we have internet these days. By the way, a lot of Africans are doing businesses cross-border just by social media.
Sure.
So I think what I would say is you get those platforms going. One of it, which is what I founded, which is the Greek Club Africa platform. I have 116 Africans on that platform right now. They are studying at 38 different institutions across Africa, 11 countries. And they're on my phone right now in my WhatsApp group. They don't even remember where they are from. They just remember the agenda is the same. We create a piece of technology, we look at how many African countries can benefit from it, and then we share it with all of them. Pro bono, social innovation, zero costs to those societies. So I think that's the best way to go about it. I don't think you have to wait for governments, because governments have a lot on their plate. I think it's time to, in our small pockets of space, to just take those initiatives and run with it. Back to you, MC.
Thank you, Prof. There's a question for you there, Jess. Smith says, what advice would you give to the young generation who find it difficult to have enough sleep due to stress?
Thank you, Smith. Stress does affect us all, and it can get to a chronic level, rather, where you find you're not functioning at school or at work. If you can afford, or if you do have the time, I think seeking professional help is always easier, because a person then professionally can sit you down, take you through what is really bothering you, underlying your condition, and help you manage it, coming up with solutions together collaboratively. If you don't have the time, if you're always working or don't have the affordability, your phone is also something you can use. There are a lot of relaxation apps, Headspace, where you can download the app, select exactly what you need help with. If maybe you have too many thoughts going on, it helps you quiet those thoughts. But at the end of the day, I think seeking professional help could be more helpful, because if, for example, you do have a lot of racing thoughts that stop you or prevent you from falling asleep, I think maybe seeking psychiatric help could be more beneficial. Yeah.
Thank you. And there's a question for you as well, Mr. Thabo. Anonymous here says, besides the NYDA, where can one acquire funding for their small business?
Thanks, MC. There's various agencies that deal with funding of SMMEs. Having mentioned GEP, there's CEDA as well, which is national, and across various, depending on where the anonymous is from, the easiest way of finding where one can seek funding is to go to the economic development departments of that particular province. Limpopo's got I think it's called LEDA, LEDA. I can't remember what the acronym stands for. Eastern Cape as well. Eastern Cape. I just can't remember some of the names off by heart. But in most cases, if one goes to even the website of all these of the economic development portfolios in the provinces, they would have a list of agencies and under them which are mandated to assist SMMEs in seeking funding. That's not only, it's not only in the government entities. There's also private sector institutions that go about assisting entrepreneurs in seeking funding.
Thank you for that. There's a question as well for you, Ms. Molapo. Anonymous here says, Ms. Molapo really raises critical questions. Indeed, youth movements do provide platforms for our voices to be heard. However, due to the lack of support, there's no true impact of these initiatives. As a student activist, what plans or pathways outside the ones that are in existence do you have to ensure that students participate in social and political spaces in a non-partisan way?
Thank you, the MC, and also thank you to the Anonymous for the question. Most of us as young leaders, we take the space, especially in your SRCs, your student societies, to try and start our voice from there. It's difficult to enter the room without any form of support. So the support from the institution, or the support from your organization, or the support from your community usually becomes the starting point. But now the problem starts when we enter the room. For example, you're being invited into the room, and now you're surrounded by all these people who come with different titles. And now that inferiority complex steps in. You feel like you don't belong. And so you become a member who just simply signs the register and you leave. And so that is what even my role in SRC is starting to do, to change that concept. Speak. And we're not saying speak for the sake of opening your mouth. We say speak for the sake of engagement. Let your voice, your opinion be known. It might not be in agreement with what the room is saying, but the fact that it's something that needs to be said. Like I was saying, we don't want to just be invited to merely take pictures and say, yes, we were there. But we need to also start saying, yes, we were there and we were heard. It might not be heard right now, but the fact that we were heard and we can start driving the movement towards policy reform and as well as general change. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. So another question has just come in for Prof. Abe. Lusejo says, besides the government, what does the Johannesburg Business School Center of Entrepreneurship assist their students or alumni with in regards to starting their own businesses?
Thank you very much for that question. Lesejo, I think that's the name.
Yeah.
While I'm at the risk of speaking on behalf of that center, I'm just the chair of the board of that center. The center has a lot of programs that are sponsored by the government. Like you rightly mentioned, a few of those sponsorships. Some of them are sponsored by RAA, and those programs help small businesses to get off the ground in terms of running. But I think what I would say is there are quite a number of programs there. I'm in artificial intelligence and applications. That's where I serve, but I provide an oversight of technology and future direction for that center. So if you would like to know, please visit the website, jbs.ac.za, and look at the Center for Entrepreneurship. You see a lot of programs that are up there. There are some programs you can look at. And if you really want technology, in terms of technology, you need to see us at the Innovation Lab at the JBS there, where we actually incubate small businesses as well. So we have small business incubation, and the experience is immersive, meaning you sit with us, we show you what technology you need to use for your business and to get things off the ground. Yeah, back to you, MC.
Thank you very much for that, Prof. There's a question in for Ms. Moloto. Smith says, what is your impression about increasing suicide in higher education? And what programs would you recommend to first-year learners in order to cope at universities?
Thank you, Smith and MC. I think there's a lot of pressure academically, like Ms. Malap was speaking, that you sort of start off undergrad, postgrad, and once you get to postgrad, I think the pressure becomes more intensified, and some individuals struggle to cope and adjust to that kind of level of work. When you feel that pressure and this stress coming along, it's always advisable to seek out help, whether it's from your friends, your neighbors, your colleagues, a lecturer that you trust, or supervisor that you feel safe with, to sort of explain that you're not okay. You know, reach out to say, I feel like something's not quite right with me now. I might need help. Because sometimes you might not have the resources yourself or know of where to go. And you find that someone else in your close circle is able to better access those facilities for you. The increased suicide risk, I think, also, our celebrities are also artists, are very vulnerable at this moment. I wonder if it's not because also the pandemic that we just went through, it's brought up a lot of mental health related issues where people are realizing that I'm a bit anxious. You know, is it social anxiety? Is it a fear of death? What is happening with me? I'm unable to concentrate at work or at school. And I think some individuals find that kind of pressure and those kind of questions overwhelming and daunting, and sometimes not being able to express how you feel or to even identify how you feel so that you acknowledge what's going on with you. Some individuals find that the easiest way would be to harm themselves or to take their own lives. However, individuals need to know that there is help out there. We as professionals are there to help. If you find that you don't have anyone in your lives that you can talk to, a clinic is always the safest or closest contact. You might find a nurse there. They might not be a psychologist or psychiatrist, but the nurse will be able to refer you to your next level of care, which would be maybe your district hospital or your regional hospital, to get some care there.
Thank you so much for that. Katlego is asking another question to the entire panel. Katlego says, how do we play a role when government does not cater for us? For example, we still have municipalities that are operating Monday to Friday from 7:30 until 4 in the afternoon. These things still make it impossible to engage or play a role in influencing decisions. So how do we then play a role? And this question is for the entire panel. So maybe we can start with you, Prof.
Thank you, Chair. I think when it comes to government, I think if you look at the way the Western world works, which of course I'm not a big fan of using that as an African prototype, but then it works in a way that people take responsibility in small spaces, right? And collective effort in those small spaces and those communities then become this huge effort. So I'd like to think the working hours of that municipality, whatever it is on the ground, is based on the resources they've been allocated to. Not because somebody wants to go home early. It's just because at that time, that's what governments could afford. I think that's the space for NGOs, NPOs, individuals, communities to then step up and create something. So I would say to the person who's asking that question that if I was in that community, any of such problem provides an opportunity for you to actually be the solver. And if you are the solver, then you're top. So my recommendation would be take up that space, be a leader in that space, investigate the problems, be sensitive, walk into those offices and work with those people, and then provide some solutions that you deem fit in that space. In such small pockets of excellence of solving amongst individuals and communities, they build a society together, and the government can just be a cherry on the top. Thanks, MC.
Okay, thanks for that. On your side, Ms. Moloto, any thoughts on that question?
I'd like to agree with our speaker, Prof. Ade, that should there not be any resources allocated, then the youth can form sort of their own community and find ways to sort of uplift themselves and help themselves to such a point that the government then becomes the cherry on top, as you say. I think the issues then become more of the country that we are currently in, the economic status and resources available. I know from a health perspective, your clinics do close on weekends, some clinics rather, they are closed on weekends, or during the week they open Monday to Friday, 7:30 to 3 even, some of them. That after that, if you should have a crisis, what do you do? There are things in place, that you can attend to the emergency center or emergency room or casualty at your local hospital as well. So there are some things in place for such things like clinics. Thank you.
Thank you. Any thoughts on that question from your side, Mr. Tabo?
Thanks, MC. MC, I think the question raised, for me, the meaning of the word entrepreneur. I think the French speak to the word as to do something or to undertake. So now, the onus is on the communities, the onus is on the youth to collaborate and seek solutions that speak to their challenges. One of the challenges that we face as South Africa is the inability to professionalize the state. Many of our institutions are professionalized, but the state, unfortunately, is lagging behind. In this day and age, it shouldn't be that governments work for. In fact, the question the person raised was kind. They don't work from 7:30 to 4:30. Out of those 9 hours, they probably work for 4 hours. So it's not helped by the fact that we are a third world. But I think we need to find ways of being solution orientated, because by the looks of things, government does not have the solutions. It therefore comes back to us collaborating at a community level, and also taking the responsibility to not shy away from processes that lead to those people that are either elected or chosen to work in government. And because I find that sometimes that's the problem, that we find ourselves, Sekho was saying earlier, that we've become absent in anything that is related to government work, and after that we still go back to the very same institutions to seek assistance to. So it's a dual process that needs to be done. Government needs to professionalize itself, and us as community-based people, we need to rally and collaborate and ensure that we want the services that we most of the time are paying for, or our parents are paying for.
What's Ms. Moloto?
From my side, I think I'd even like to give acknowledgement to what Nell Ledwaba said on ENCA about the lack of mentorship and a proper succession plan that our government unfortunately doesn't have. So I'd like to also add to what my speakers were saying. In order for us to understand what problems we need to solve, mentoring also becomes a pivotal role. Sometimes we're not able to really figure out which plan works best at which time. So the mentor then comes in to provide the guidance and the wisdom. So our government also doesn't provide that to the younger generation. So that is also what is lacking also with our government. And quite frankly, us as youth have to then do that for ourselves, whereby the older generation of the youth then gives the mentorship to the younger generation of the youth. And let us form our own structure and start speaking up for ourselves. And that's the only way.
Thank you so much for that. We are unfortunately reaching the end of our program, so I'll be taking the last comments from our speakers or parting shots from our speakers. Prof. Abe?
Thank you very much, MC. I think on my side, I'd just like to leave some things on the table. Technology is here. Before now, it was impossible to enter an establishment and start from entry level to manager in 5 years. It was impossible. If it was banking sector, you worked your way into that space as an intern, become a junior this, senior that, top that, then you become a manager, a CEO or something. But trust me, in the current day and time, if Africans were to decide to solve with a laptop in their hand, the next mobile app could give you $10 million and you could hire 1,000 or 10,000 people. And that's very disruptive. In fact, you could still be 22 years old. So I just want to, all the youth listening to us, I just want to say to you that tech is on the table and it changes the game. Getting into the tech space is not as difficult as you think. You just have to get started and you don't have to get in there as an expert. You can get in there with someone who uses technology to solve a problem in a particular space. Can also be a business developer in that space, meaning you can go in there, check which technology solves which problem, write a proposal, get in some funding, and then now hire people to actually do the job. That's another way to go about it. The lowest hanging fruit would then be off-the-shelf tools. So if you're sitting on a bag of cash, a bunch of humanoids you can buy, a bunch of drones you can buy, off the shelf on the internet, delivered through to you. You can apply them in agriculture or any other space you find yourself. So please think technology because it's the future. Do not be that person in 1993 who thought typewriters would be around forever and who got run over by Microsoft Windows Word. So that's my part in short. Thank you very much, MC.
I think my closing remarks would be based on everything that had been discussed tonight. I think for one to be able to do all of this, to seek the help, to start the technological advances, one needs a healthy mind to be able to do that. And I think a healthy mind is more capable and motivated. So if you do feel you do need a little bit of help, it might not be for medication, it might be just be for therapy. You're going through transition in life, an adjustment that you feel you just need someone to hold your hand through it, contact us. We are here to help you. You're not alone. The world still has small pockets of goodness and hope. Thank you.
Thanks, MC. I think my takeaway, as a former youth myself, I think the most important thing that I would say is that we unfortunately do not become youth. There comes a time when your youthlessness falls off, and being youth allows you some opportunities to be creative, to be free, and to do whatever that you think comes to mind. Bringing it closer to home, the emergence of Amapiano and what it's doing to the world. There was an idea that probably started in bedrooms. The Internet of Things, what we can do with collaboration, what the Prof was speaking to, how simple it is to innovate, as much as we still need some intervention. The world offers so much today as it did a couple of years back, and it's the onus lies with the young people to be disciplined, to be committed, to be fully focused, and to collaborate with one another in seeking solutions that will change not only South Africa, not only SADC, but the continent and global as well. It's doable. Thanks, MC.
From my side, as a fellow youth, My closing remark will just be, as the youth, let's remember that this is not a game of checkers. We're playing chess. There's so many things that we can actually solve right here in our communities, but we're so busy focusing on reality TV and trying to solve the issues that, quite frankly, are even outside of our own backgrounds. So let's look at our background. For example, what's happening in Johannesburg with the water situation, that is something that needs a solution. So let's start looking at the solutions that are affecting us in Africa, and let's see how we can fix those solutions. We're smart, we're dedicated, all we just need is the mentorship and the wisdom.
Ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, we've now come to the end of our program. Thank you so much for joining in and for interacting with us. Thank you to our esteemed speakers and panelists. I'll now be handing over to Mr. Nell Ledwaba, who will do the vote of thanks. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The very first people that I wish to thank is our viewers. Without them, the discussion would have not reached what it wanted to achieve. Indeed, the future of any country lies with the youth, meaning the youth is the heartbeat of the country. Hopefully, what is being discussed here will assist in shaping the youth and their future. Of course, I wish to thank also, Professor Abejide. Our sincere appreciation. I hope from the Alumni Office we will partner and touch on those important entrepreneurial opportunities on how to assist our alumni, because of indeed we cannot train, produce graduates and they remain at home. They should be continued thereafter, otherwise it will defeat the purpose of training them. Our sincere appreciation for having made time to join us tonight. Of course, Jessica Moloto. Jessica is a clinical psychologist, for those that might have missed the introduction during then. We also wish to thank your presence in here. I think you might have seen most of the topics that I've read from masters, actually from honors. They talk about the causes of suicide. They all relate to mental health, which is a common denominator in the higher education sector. Most of the first year learners, isn't when they arrive at universities, they need coping mechanism. And if that is not well dealt with or well prepared, it becomes a severe effect. But thanks for gracing us with your presence. I hope we will visit your facility for assistance. I think our alumni, they will reach out to you should they need further assistance. To you, Thabo, the relationship doesn't end here with you as well. From our alumni office, we do have benefits that if you look at our website, we've partnered with many external service providers where we share some benefits to our alumni. I think it is the beginning, and we were gonna tap into those opportunities that are provided. So we really thank you for availing yourself as well. To you, Tsegofatso Molap, I don't know where to start, but I want to thank you as well. And again, this discussion assisted. How do we change the mindset of a student to see themselves as the working class than being entrepreneurs or being the participants or the contributors in the economy? Because of it goes back to them seeing themselves as posing the responsibility of them being employed to the government. That is not going to be a solution. So I think your presentation somehow it unlocked most of the students' minds, and going forward, they will see themselves as owners of the problems and the challenges that we are facing, than only seeing themselves as those that want to benefit from the government. Our sincere appreciation. And then last but not least, to our facilitator, Mr. Masonwabe Fuma, the real entrepreneur. I think we'll learn a lot from you, and I'm hoping that you hold a true definition of what an entrepreneur is. Otherwise, we are in an academic institution. We'll have to revisit this definition if it's not in line with what you do, because of there is a different perception and understanding of what entrepreneurship is all about. We really sincerely thank for your availability, and we're saying even in future, please be there for us. From the alumni team as well, Victor is with us here. Kangale is our marketing manager. And then we've got also Tabiso Malete, who's our event coordinator. Popano Manoto, our database administrator. And then Sulufelo Kwayeng as well is with us, is our social media coordinator. And then they're also supported by Angela. Selinda is also an admin officer in the faculty coordination and alumni. And also Vuisili is also with us. I really thank them for the hard work that they do in our office. I'm not going to leave out as well our technical team, Darrell and Tendo, people from behind. They really assist us. Without them, we would not been this far. Also, I've been joined by our guests here in our Ubuntu chambers where this discussion was held. I wish to also appreciate their presence and their support. From me, I want to also encourage our alumni to join Alumni Connect, which is a very useful platform where we can continue with this engagement. Please visit our UG website under Alumni. There is an Alumni Connect where you can engage. It has got over 12,000 subscribers. We engage, we discuss, and then there are also opportunities in there that most of the service providers, they post in there. From my side, I also wish to thank myself, because if no one is going to thank me in any case. And good night. Thank you.
The University of Johannesburg, the future reimagined.